Well, welcome to Focus today, and today we have really an honor to have back with us Phyllis Schlafly. She's been with us before, and I've had the opportunity to be with Phyllis on several occasions, and she's just really one of the great national leaders of the conservative movement. She's authored books, she does commentary, newsletters, and she's with us today to talk about the border controversy, the Gang of Eight's immigration proposal. And Mr. Schlafly, nice to have you with us again.
Thank you. Always good to join you.
Well, listen, we've been watching with great interest the whole issue of immigration, but in particular, this particular proposal that the Gang of Eight has come out with. And already it's coming out of the chute. It's quite controversial. What's your take on it? Oh,
it's a terrible bill in every possible way, and it's written in secret by the Democrats and some Schumer Republicans. And it would increase immigration, legal and illegal, by an enormous amount. They're estimating 33 million new people over the next decade or so. And it will drive up unemployment and drive down wages. It will be particularly hurtful to the low-skilled people. It's a real offense to the black community, which will be frozen out of a lot of these entry-level jobs.
Wow.
And then, of course, it's a racket about telling us that the best and the brightest are foreigners. That's ridiculous. The best and the brightest are Americans.
All right, so there's a couple of things here. I want to get into it, but what do you see as the biggest loophole in this bill?
Well, I don't think there's anything good about it. Okay. They raise the number of guest workers, which is kind of a racket anyway. The requirement that employers are supposed to seek a qualified American first is not really enforceable and not used. And it has very much affected college students and what they do. When I speak on college campuses, so many of them tell me they have changed their major. That makes them go to college for 5 years or 6 instead of 4, and they get out of the so-called STEM subjects, which are science and tech and engineering, etc., and go into what they think is more opportunity for a job, like accounting.
Well, you know, since this was a Republican and Democrat, I guess, creation, what's so interesting to me is people like Marco Rubio got involved in this, and I think this is going to hurt him big time once this whole bill gets out in the open.
I think Marco has slit his own throat. He's allowed himself to be used as a salesman for a bad bill and for the globalists who simply want to keep jobs away from Americans and hire foreigners and bring them in here to run our companies.
All right, so this also creates some issues. Now, do you think, first of all, do you think the bill's going to pass?
Well, I hope not. I think it's pretty tight. I hope the media, the general media, have not been giving much play to it. And it's a real silence. That's the way the media, who always want to help Obama and help the globalists, are treating it. And that's why I'm trying to write about it and expose what's in it. Our friends on the committee have certainly been Senator Sessions and Senator Grassley, and they've proposed a number of very good amendments, all of which have been defeated in committee. But I hope the American people will wake up. I mean, our jobs and our future depend on it.
All right. So one of the big issues here is the Republicans trying to figure out a way to connect with Hispanics. And President Bush did it, but what is your suggestion for them?
Well, I think that's a great myth because the Hispanics who come in like this are going to vote Democrat. And there is not a slightest bit of evidence that they're going to vote Republican. And the people of the Republicans should reach out to are the white votes, white voters who didn't vote in the last election, and there are millions of them. And I think when you have an establishment-run nomination system, they give us a series of losers, which they've given us with Dole and McCain and Romney, and they give us people who don't connect with the grassroots.
All right.
And so I think they're leading us. The propagandists are leading us down the wrong path. there is not any evidence at all that these Hispanics coming in from Mexico will vote Republican.
All right, so where do you think is going to happen with this immigration issue? Because it's possible the president, through executive order, could give mass amnesty, even though his administration's in trouble right now. He could still do it, but...
You mean like he did the DREAM Act?
Yes. Yes. You think he will do it?
Well, I think he's the most dictatorial president we've ever had. He's trying to rule by executive order instead of by legislation. And we know that his game plan, somebody leaked out what his strategic game plan is, and it was for the gun bill and the immigration bill to pass the Senate, but then be stopped in the House. And then he would run against the House like Harry Truman did in 1948, which you probably can't remember, but I do, and win and take over the whole Congress. And that plan was really messed up when they beat the gun bill in the Senate. So thanks to the gun people who did that. And I'm hopeful that we can beat the Gang of Eight bill, just like we beat the George Bush, Ted Kennedy bill in, 2008.
All right, so what do you think is the kind of the short-term answer to the immigration issue in the United States?
Well, it will increase unemployment and depress the wages of those who do have jobs. It's just economics 101. You increase your supply of cheap labor, you're going to make jobs harder to get, and those who do have jobs are going to have their wages depressed. It's just axiomatic.
All right, so at this point, the bill is not getting its amendments. Do you know where it is in the process? Has it gone to the House?
Well, they voted it out of committee, and a lot of good amendments offered by Senator Sessions and Senator Grassley were defeated, such as the Grassley amendment that corporations had to make a good faith effort to hire Americans before they hired foreigners with these guest passes. Mm-hmm. And, of course, the Gang of Eight's bill greatly increases the number of guest workers, just fantastically increases it, doubles the H-1B visas, for example. And I'm just hopeful that the American people will wake up. They'll hear from the senators, will hear from the grassroots, and they'll defeat it. And I understand there are people now trying to raise money to give a primary challenge to any Republican who votes for it.
Wow. Okay, just before I let you go, what are your thoughts with all the scandals going on in Washington these days?
Well, I think the IRS scandal is a real scandal. It's such a bad scandal that even the media are talking about it.
Yeah.
But surprise, surprise.
Surprise, surprise.
And the way they held up approval for and even asked for the content of their prayers, for the text of their prayers.
Right. Right.
I mean, that's really over the top.
Wow.
And they delayed him for 3 years or more before giving him a pass on creating a social welfare 501c4 organization.
Right.
And I think the American people understand that. They don't want to get letters from IRS.
Yeah.
And letters from IRS usually carry bad news.
There we go. Mr. Schlafly, late yesterday, the Attorney General, at least the report came out that the Attorney General okayed the seizure of the emails by the Fox reporter, and now this embroils the Attorney General. The question I have is, who investigates the Attorney General?
Well, Congress ought to do it. I hope Congressman Nice will go after it. I mean, he let Lois get by with what she did, and fortunately we had a former prosecutor on the committee, Trey, forgot his last name. The congressman from South Carolina, I think.
Yeah, Growley.
And he knew that once she made a statement, she had given up her Fifth Amendment privilege. So I hope he's going to call her back and ask her 100 questions.
There we go.
But one of the worst things is Obama, the lower-level person in IRS who was doing all this biased investigation, she's now been promoted to run Obamacare. Can you believe that?
Well, I know it's just no, I can't, and you got to wonder if this investigation is going to implode the IRS to the point where we investigate them like they do us.
Good idea.
Yeah, you know, there's an old saying: if you lie to the government, it's a crime. If the government lies to you, it's politics.
Yeah. Good for you. Well, I've got a lot of good information. My column that's up on my website right now, eagleforum.org, is a good summary of what's wrong with the Gang of Eight bill.
All right.
And I'll have another one next week with particular attention to these guest worker passes, which is another racket.
All right. eagleforum.org. That's where you can read Mrs. Schlafly's articles, and they are terrific and well-researched. Thank you for your time and blessings on you.
All right. God bless and have a good day.
Okay. We'll be right back.